Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
This is Purple Playbook. I'm Alex Glaze, joined as always by two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith. It's that time of year, preseason football, of course, what everyone's talking about, but we got a lot going on here in Baltimore throughout the week. Where the big story out of this week, of course, Torrey, was the injuries to the Ravens' top two cornerbacks.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you get nervous at first, but when you hear a coach talk about he's expecting to see them back soon, honestly, that's not really the norm around here. Coach Harbaugh was a coach that kind of kept everything secretive, and honestly, most coaches do that. They don't want to let you know where people are with injuries. They don't want to let other teams know where they are with injuries, but to see everyone responding in a way that it seems like they're going to be okay, that's very exciting for those players and this team.
Ravens fans breathing a sigh of relief with Nate Wiggins after being carted off of the field during the week, and then Marlon Humphrey one day later leaving early as well, dealing with an injury. Both of them, according to Jesse Minter, receiving good reports, and he expects those guys to be back pretty soon.
I would say both are trending very well to potentially be back next week. So both just dealing with a couple small things. I think got good reports on both of them, and expect both of those guys back.
It's never a good thing when the car comes out. So obviously, I think Marlon, I was out there. I never really saw what happened with him. He just went inside, and obviously it's a big deal whenever someone of his caliber goes in as well. But the cart coming out for Nate, to get the report you did, I mean, I don't think they could have come out any better this week.
Every time you see a cart, I automatically think the worst, right? Which probably isn't the right thing, but being around the game for so long, it's like they don't pull out the cart, or if you see an air cast or something, you get really nervous because you kind of know what it tends to lead to, some kind of break or some kind of tear. But to see that he was carted off and it was more precautionary, that's a beautiful sight. And to see Coach excited about him coming back, I think for Wiggins, that would be a major loss, right? And I don't want to talk about it because he's going to be back here soon. But the fear that comes with that, every fan and coach in their own mind should be afraid. But the reality of it is he should be fine. They have a few weeks. They don't play in the preseason games like that. So he'll be ready to go. He'll have the opportunity to recover.
Yeah, Nate's the top guy, and he's a guy that wants to follow around the opposing team's top receiver. I'm just curious, Torrey, because you kind of feel for the guy too, because he's dealt with his injuries, and this just a couple weeks ago he was saying that this is the first time ever he's felt this healthy, and now he's dealing with this.
Yeah, so that's why I never would say it out loud how good I felt. But I'm feeling good. All right, I'm all right. When you talk about the best, it seems like that's when dumb things like that happen. But you have to be honest, it's football. Football is a physical sport. Bodies are going to be falling around. People are going to be running into you. Yes, there are non-contact injuries that happen from time to time, but I think for Wiggins, the biggest thing is he's been super productive in camp. He's been playing well, moving well. So is it frustrating to kind of lose your mojo for a week or so? Sure. But to know that he's not going to be gone long term, at least based on what we've been told from Coach, you still have to think that, all right, they have time, it's camp, and worry about getting to week one.
Yeah, well, with both of those guys, the top two cornerbacks out for half of the week, the young guys got a lot of work going up against this high-caliber offense, this Declan Doyle offense. And Anthony Weaver spoke about the cornerbacks that he's coaching, and he said that he has a lot of confidence in his guys.
Fortunately, I think we have a bunch of good ones, right? Expect those guys and prayers go up for those guys. Hope that they can be back as soon as possible. But we have a lot of good ones. I think TJ Tampa's had a tremendous camp. It's good to see BK back out there, right? 31 out there making plays. We have guys that Cheeto. Let's not forget him. There's a bunch of guys I think that could step in if needed.
I'm interested, Torrey, given the status of Nate, Marlon, and what we know happened this past week. How much are you expecting to see? A Cheeto, a TJ Tampa, somebody whose number might be called to play a significant role in the preseason. Do you think that changes the math, I guess, for when it comes to reps for them?
I think it's actually a very interesting question because when you talk about Cheeto, that's a guy that did play a major role in his team. And I'm not sure if guys are nursing injuries, if he's a guy that even steps on the field, just because of where this team is. But you talk about TJ Tampa, a guy that's grown over the last couple of years and has a lot of potential, long arms. Tough to deal with. It'd be great for him to get those game reps as well. He did play during the regular season, but just being a young guy, continuing to grow in his confidence here, is going to be huge. I feel like the depth in this room is something star power-wise that it's kind of lacked in the past, but I do think now they have a ton of guys that you may not know their names, but they'll be able to fill their role. And the biggest thing, while we're talking about the secondary, I'm going to say this each and every week. The secondary can be okay as long as that defensive line is getting after the quarterback. And that's ultimately what it's going to boil down to. And it looks like the defensive line is in a way better, healthier place, and they have a lot of talent there. And we'll see what it ends up looking like as this season progresses to week 1.
Yeah, I'm curious, though, is there a guy, when we're talking about that secondary, that you're looking for in this preseason to kind of take a bigger step forward? You know, you mentioned TJ Tampa, a guy who started to get some time last year. I think got his first interception toward the end of the year. Chandler Rivers, obviously a draft pick, a young guy as well. Keon Martin is a guy that's been working in with the ones. Is there somebody that you're looking to maybe, like, watch this preseason and if, you know, to identify maybe if this is a guy that can step into a bigger role in the regular season?
Yeah, I think to me it's TJ Tampa. You know what? Because you look at the nickel position and Marlon Humphrey tends to be in the slot a lot more. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily lean towards Rivers. I think he's a guy that's going to play. But I think TJ Tampa, the outside guy, is where you have Nate Wiggins, who has had some challenges in the past being there. You have Marlon at times where they kind of move him around like a Swiss Army knife. And you have Cheeto. You know what he's capable of. You don't know who's that next guy on deck if someone goes down. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing the most is TJ Tampa and seeing how he's going to elevate his game to be a guy that the team could trust on the field at all times.
What would tell you that he's ready?
Man, that's a wonderful question because he has live game reps. It's just about being consistent, and that's what camp is for, right? The coaches, each and every day you go in, you get your grade sheets, you know how you practice. They'll give you feedback. How are your assignments? How was your alignment? How was your execution, right? Those are the things that they rely on the most to kind of gauge how you're doing and are you making plays. And I think for him, that's what it's going to boil down to. How comfortable is he with the assignments? That gives you trust first and foremost. And then is he going out there and he's making plays? They're going to be challenged each and every day. You have Zay Flowers, right? You have Rashad Bateman, and everyone is loving right now what Jacoby Lane is doing outside, and he's a big physical matchup. There aren't very many receivers in the league that are even as tall as Jacoby. So they get to go against different guys all the time, and you'll know based on just his pure performance and make sure you're not seeing the back of his name chasing people across the field too.
Yeah, if you look at it, if you see his name, that's not a good sign. I'm going to keep saying his name, Chandler Rivers. That's a guy that I'm looking at. I mean, he's a smaller guy, reminds me of Ardarius Washington in a lot of ways, not just because he wears number 29, but you know, you go out at camp this week, he makes the play where he's punching the ball out, and he's always around the ball making tackles. That's one of the things that I think Jesse Minter likes from his DBs, to be sure tacklers. So I'm interested to see if he can kind of find a role or in some kind of a rotation.
Yeah, I think he'll get in there, but it's just a matter of how, right? I think it makes it tough when Marlon is in your primary
Keon was your guy.
And Keon has played solid last year. So you have two guys that are vets. He's going to get in the mix there. He has a lot of talent. And like I said, he's flashing, and the Ravens don't draft guys and just let them just rot on the bench. They're going to give them opportunities to go out and to perform, because guess what? While the other guys are doing solid, there's no one that's playing at superstar level. So it's going to give young guys the opportunity to compete and see what their potential looks like as they get the opportunities to perform.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk offense and talk a little bit about Declan Doyle, who is getting his first reps as a play caller as we get through the preseason. We're going to talk about that and get Torrey's takes on what he's expecting under Declan Doyle on Purple Playbook continues.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
As we get our way through the preseason, it's maybe tough to remember that this is going to be Declan Doyle's first time calling plays. There's so much excitement building around what this Ravens offense is going to look like. We're not going to see that in the preseason. Of course, they're going to keep it very vanilla. But earlier this week, Declan Doyle spoke about the excitement level he has when it comes to really being the guy calling the shots now.
I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to watch our guys play. That's the number one thing. But, I mean, you know, it's going to be the first time being able to sit there and call our offense. And, you know, I'm excited for it. There's nothing that can simulate, you know, a Saturday or a Sunday and your guys going out there and playing ball.
It was interesting to hear him talk. You know, obviously he's worked under Ben Johnson, Sean Payton, you know, some of the best offensive minds in the game. But just hearing him talk about Sean Payton, and when we're talking about how it's definitely going to evaluate the guys throughout the preseason, he said Sean would always say, I can't evaluate how you're doing something until you know what to do. So that's interesting to me. And what does that tell you maybe about like what we hear about the detail and the level of attention he pays and that about kind of the things that he's throwing at guys and his expectations for his offense?
Yeah, I think it kind of piggybacks off of what we talked about earlier with the DBs, like just knowing what you're doing, right? There's a saying in football that says you can't play fast if you don't know what you're doing. And what they mean by that, and I experienced it myself as a rookie in training camp, if you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you run a 4-3, 4-4. You're going to play like you're a 4-7 because you're out there not knowing what you're doing. And those details are what really separates you in the league. Everyone's good. Everyone's big. Everyone's fast. Everyone's strong. How can you go out there and execute? And there are some guys that they're so talented that, and the things that flash potentially, you're like, man, he's making plays and he doesn't know what he's doing, right? But the guys you trust the most are the guys that are doing the detailed things and they're continuing to grow, which is what you hope to see out of this offense. And they've been together. They were very present this offseason, and they're going to click a lot sooner than people think. And they look great right now in camp, but they're going to click a lot sooner than people think because they put those hours in this offseason. And Coach holds them to a very high standard. I've heard him firsthand speaking to the team, the expectations, the details. He's a football guy, and we were talking about a little bit off air. He lives and breathes it. Right, that's the feeling that you've been able to get, and I was able to just every time I see him, I'm like, this dude's not worried about anything but what's going on right here, and it's exciting to see.
Two things: you don't need to take shots at 4-7. 4-7, you're moving pretty quickly, and also it's funny you say you can't move fast until you know what you're doing because I've always been told, even if you don't know what you're doing, go fast. So that's maybe why the teams that I was on sucked. So maybe that's why.
Yeah,
but
that's how it works.
Yeah, what are you expecting from Declan Doyle in his first year? Because obviously, I think when you're a guy that gets this opportunity, you're not going to be the guy that has the Ferraris and the Lambos in the garage. But like he does, he has all the guys, he has all the weapons at his disposal. Like there's no reason why this team shouldn't be able to, reach the mountaintops that they've been trying to achieve. But like, what are you expecting in year one from him?
I mean, year in, year out, you expect as long as Lamar Jackson is the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, you expect to have a top 5 offense.
And it seems like they're connecting well, and they're spending a lot of time.
There's a lot of respect. You're watching Lamar. Like, first of all, like I said, you have Lamar Jackson. How many coordinators get a chance to inherit, I'm not even saying my opinion, the best player in the league?
Two-time MVP.
Right? Two-time MVP. The respect is there. When he's healthy, when he's at his best, I don't care what that fake 100 player ranking was. This is the best football player in the league. You have the opportunity to have him. You have a healthy Derrick Henry. You have weapons around him, and you have the ability to be creative with your offense. There's no reason why this offense shouldn't be a top 5 offense because it's been there in the past. And he doesn't have to go and reinvent the wheel, right? He's going to be able to rely on the run game and allow Lamar to be active in the passing game as well. But if you watch how this offense is playing in camp, and I can't wait till I get the chance to really kind of dive into the film and see it, but you're seeing a lot of different concepts where they're able to connect over the middle of the field. You're able to see Jacoby building his confidence one-on-one, whether it's in one-on-one drills themselves or in actual team drills. You're seeing a big vertical presence that's going down the field, which means this team is going to be able to attack you at all levels of the game, right? They're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to go quick screens and stuff with Zay and Bateman and some of the quicker guys. Are going to be able to go middle of stuff with Mark Andrews, who we've completely forgotten about. Like, he's not even on this team right now. And then you're going to be able to stretch down the field with Zay and Jacoby Lane as well. So there's no reason why this offense shouldn't be top 5 in the league.
Well, we're going to talk about the tight ends in just a little bit, but I do want to touch on Derrick Henry because Declan spoke about his usage, right? I mean, Derrick is still, 32, 33 years old, still performing at a high level. You would expect maybe a little bit of a drop-off when it comes to usage, but he says, like, he's not going to put a number on it, and, I mean, you can expect a heavy dose of Derrick Henry.
Absolutely. If he's healthy, give him the ball, right? And I think that's it sounds bad what I'm about to say, but the team doesn't care anyway. If he's playing well and he's running well, they're going to give him the ball. They're not thinking about, oh, man, we got to get you to the playoffs. It doesn't matter. They're trying to win now. And Derrick Henry takes care of his body like a pro. And guess what? Who else will tell you that they want the ball all the time? Derrick Henry. So he prepares himself for it, and I'm not concerned about it as well. I don't think this will be a season or a situation where you wonder if Derrick Henry is going to touch the football enough.
It's funny because it feels like not too long ago we were talking about Declan Doyle being 29, now he's 30 years old, and how that would, this guy, just from the short amount of time he's been out there, clearly has the respect of everybody. Everyone is marching to the beat of his drum, and I think that is going to lead to good things for this offense and take them back to where they were, in that first year of Todd Monken, when this offense seemed like they could do no wrong.
Absolutely, and I also think the underrated aspect of that, I know we all focus on the age, is like there's still an element of respect, right? These men out there want to win, and if this is the guy that the organization, that Eric DeCosta, that Steve Bisciotti trusted to come in here and lead this offense, and they know who he's been under, right? That helps you, and I think relationships matter. You think Lamar Jackson's not going to listen to a guy that was under Ben Johnson, right, that was under Sean Payton? You'd be a fool not to. I want to, right? I think that's just how it goes. Like, those are two of the best in this game. So I think that level of respect that was there, that whether you could say he earned it or not because of his age, he knows it. And these guys, watching Zay talk about him, he lights up every single time. He's excited about what this offense looks like and what the opportunities look like. And you got to just go off the energy of the players. It's there.
Absolutely. Well, you brought up the tight end, so we got to talk about him. But before we do that, we got to take a quick break. We are playing Something or Nothing when Purple Playbook continues. The tight ends kind of haven't been lighting it up exactly during training camp. Is that something or nothing? We're going to get Torrey's take when we return.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The Bottom Line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. It's time for Something or Nothing. I'm going to throw out a topic, and Torrey, you tell me if it's something or nothing. Been out at training camp, every practice, and you brought up last block how no one's talking about Mark Andrews still on the team. Tight ends really haven't done anything. It's been a pretty quiet camp for the tight ends, especially when you're talking about the two rookies, and Matthew Hibner and Josh Cuevas. Are you concerned at all about the tight ends?
I'm not concerned because most teams are your tight ends getting where they fit in, right?
This is Baltimore,
That's how it's been with these tight ends, three tight ends out there blocking, bullying people. We're also pass threats as well. Mark Andrews tend to be the guy that was leading the way. But to me, offense is offense. If you have the ability to play with those tight ends, it does give you an advantage because of the different packages and teams don't know what to expect. But at the end of the day, if you're able to move the ball other ways, you don't have to rely on them.
Do you think they made a mistake not re-signing Isaiah Likely?
Oof, that's a strong question there. I think when you talk about Isaiah Likely, he's a weapon, right? And a guy that is a receiving weapon. That's not to say Mark Andrews isn't, because he is. Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the league for a while.
Sure.
But I do think if you have a guy like Likely in this offense, I do think it takes it to the next level just because of his skill set. And that would have kept the tandem there. Because of the salary cap, I personally believe they could have afforded both of them. And Mark Andrews probably only has another year left anyway. But that's the business side of things. And maybe if Lamar's contract would have got done earlier, they could have kind of rolled it around. But I always say the salary cap's fake anyway. I was at the Philadelphia Eagles training camp last week, and I was talking with Howie Roseman. And I'm like, dude, you're not afraid to sign anybody. You're not afraid. You're not to take risks. He's like, man. He's like, hey, I'm trying to win. Do what I got to do to win. And there's a way to make anything happen if you want it done. And I was like, once I heard that, I'm like, you know what? That's a true statement. But I'm excited for Isaiah up there in New York. That's like little bro. But he would have been very good in this offense here.
All right, let's talk about one of the biggest storylines this week. Of course, we're talking about Jayden Daniels and the NIL debacle down in the Bayou there. I mean, we all know what's going on at this point. I mean, you're asking for copies of the Heisman bags. I mean, what are we doing here? Is that something or nothing?
I think there is something, right? That's a whole lot of something to me. I think there's an element of respect. Clearly, Lane Kiffin doesn't care because
he didn't promise the kid the number.
They gave out the number 5 to a 5-star kid who can definitely ball, by the way. Seen him in 707. That cat can play. However, that's a Heisman Trophy winner. And coaches tell you anything to get a kid, right? I just think they need to say, hey, this is our standard. We only had 3 Heisman Trophy winners in our history. So we don't have retired jerseys, but we don't tend to give out our numbers. And I do think there's an element of respect because Joe Burrow's 9 has not been given out, even though Joe Burrow won the Natty. But still, it boils down to what type of respect are you giving to someone. It's not like they have 30 Heismans. They have one. I mean, at 3, excuse me.
At 3. The other layer of this is LSU's own policy, which is like even if the numbers are retired, they can still be worn. So it's like it's like a fake.
But I think that's everybody. Yeah, I think that's everybody's policy. And honestly, in football, because how it is, and they're already being, well, if you're on, there's 100 in college, there's 100-some kids on the team, right? So that's why they have double numbers on offense and defense. So like you cut into it if you truly retire numbers. But if the precedence was set and they said Joe Burrow's 9 isn't going to be worn, and someone told Jayden at some point his 5 wasn't going to be worn, and clearly
that's a Heisman and a Natty winner though. That's a little different.
Heisman and Natty,
but
a little different. Heisman guys tend to get statues at their schools. Tend to get all kinds of.
That's LSU.
There's one,
that's LSU.
And the LSU only has 3 Heisman winners in a gazillion years of their school being open. 3. I
don't know. I mean,
3 numbers.
Some schools are a little. You're not going to be bigger than the program. Just.
Yeah, I mean, but USC.
I think he does have an argument.
Who has more championships, USC or LSU?
It's got to be USC, right?
I don't know the answer. I think USC, right? But their Heisman Trophy winners numbers, they'll ask them, but they're shut down.
All right, we're going to wrap up the show when we come back. You're watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
Welcome back to Purple Playbook. As we wrap up the show, got to ask you about your Terps. To hear Mathis, obviously a big loss for this team. Are you expecting Zion Ely to be able to step in as a true freshman right away?
I am. That's a major loss, and my heart hurts for him because I know how hard he worked, and he looks amazing physically. So it's a tough loss for the team, but I'm looking forward to seeing what St. Francis' own Zion Ely does, and he'll be ready.
Big year for Mike Loxley.
All
right, that's going to do it for this week's Purple Playbook. We will be back next week. See you then.